part. So I want to revisit where we left off. We played a clip of you from an earlier interview with Mike Phillip on American Radio Network, and you were talking about in the legislature what went down on a particular day. And I think this is huge. I think that this is really big. So walk us back to that day when you were confronted with information that confirmed communist activity in the Alberta government back in the 80s.
Well, as you know, in the legislature, each of the members have assigned aides, or you get your own, and if you don't, the legislature will help you get the aides that you need. And I had a young man there that was good friends with one of Grant Notley's aides, and he happened to divulge some information to my aide, and he said he'd like to look at it, of course, and he ended up with it in his possession, and he delivered it to my office. And it was the agenda for changing a free market system to a communist system. And in that agenda, it outlined the things that were necessary in order to accomplish that goal. I don't have it with me, but I do remember several of them. There were about 10 of them, and I remember at least 5 of them. One of them was to promote homosexuality, and let me look here. Oh, and the feminization of the entire male population. So not only was
like breaking down the family unit. Is that what that would mean?
Exactly, and that came later. It said to break down and destroy traditional family units. That was one of them as well. The other was to use to get the population hooked on drugs, marijuana, and other drugs. And then another one was to infiltrate the religious institutions and replace them with government programs and make the government more substantial than the religions that they were part of. And finally, the takeover of the educational institutions. And those are 5 that I distinctly remember. So I think that we've seen all of that happen. I mean, it's been 40 years since I was in the ledge, but all of these things have come to fruition. And they started long before 1980. These things have been, you go back to the time of Karl Marx, and if you read on Karl Marx, these were the things that he promoted. He wanted to replace religion with political movements, mainly Marxist movement at that time. But if you read Karl Marx, he was not a socialist at heart. He was a communist. And all of these so-called socialist political parties like the NDP, Karl Marx is their hero, and they failed to tell the public that his ultimate goal was to replace all kinds of political philosophy with Marxism. And so, yeah, it was rather shocking at the time, but all of those things have certainly come to fruition in the last years, and more dramatically here in the last 20 probably. We're seeing the acceleration. And of course, they don't do it. They didn't used to do it openly. They were more selective in how they did it. Now they're much more open about it. It used to be a very incremental implementation of policy, but those incremental implementations of policy have changed dramatically, and now it's just like the bill that they just passed here in the last couple of days in the United States, where it's called the something or other Marriage Act, and it basically does away with traditional marriage, traditional families, and penalizes traditional families and encourages all of these alternate lifestyles. So now we have it in the legislature. and in the bills that are being passed. And sadly, 12 Republicans joined in the vote with the Democrats to destroy and break down, traditional family units. So these things all go back to that memo that I was able to get my hands on back in the 80s. Yeah.